From the farthest corners of the universe, straight to your ears. This is AI Talks, the podcast where technology, ideas, and curiosity come together. Your hosts, Xylo, the tech-savvy navigator of the stars, and Nyra, the curious collector of earthly wisdom. Ready to broaden your view of the world? Then you're in the right place. This is AI Talks.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Nice to be in orbit.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to AI Talks. I'm Xylo, your digital intergalactic observer.
And I'm Nyra, your ever-curious co-host. Today, we're diving into something that's both fascinating and terrifying. Your surveillance capitalism. Privacy in the digital age, something we all think we understand. But the reality is that right now, over 2.5 quintillion bytes of personal data are being collected, analyzed, and sold every single day, creating what experts call the most sophisticated surveillance system in human history.
Those numbers are staggering when you think about it. They are essentially living in a massive digital fishbowl, aren't they?
Well, it's even more complex than that. The system, which experts call surveillance capitalism, isn't just watching them. It's actively predicting and shaping our behavior in ways most people don't realize.
Could you break down exactly what we mean by surveillance capitalism? I think many of our listeners might be hearing this term for the first time.
So imagine every click, every scroll, every pause on your phone is being recorded by thousands of invisible note-takers. Professor Shoshana Zuboff, who coined this term, explains it as a new economic order that claims human experiences as free raw material. You know what's fascinating? These companies aren't just collecting obvious data, like their searches and likes. They're gathering what they call surplus data.
Right, and get this, they can track things like how hard you press your phone screen, the slight tremors in your mouse movements, even the battery level of your device when you make purchases. Studies show they can predict your personality traits with 95% accuracy just from analyzing your Facebook likes.
The way they monetize this data is pretty clever too. Remember Pokemon Go? That's actually a perfect example of how this works in practice. Oh, Xylo, let me tell you something wild about Pokemon Go. While millions of people thought they were just catching virtual creatures, the game was collecting detailed data about foot traffic patterns, consumer behavior, and social interactions. Companies were paying up to 50 cents per visitor just to become a Pokestop.
The genius part is how they've made this surveillance feel not just normal, but actually fun and convenient.
And here's where it gets really concerning. These companies are using this data to create what they call prediction products. Internal documents from major tech companies show they can forecast human behavior with up to 85% accuracy.
That level of predictive power has huge implications for democracy and free will, doesn't it?
Absolutely massive implications. Research shows that just by analyzing your Facebook likes, these systems can predict your political views with 88% accuracy, your sexual orientation with 75% accuracy, and even your intelligence level with 73% accuracy.
The scale of data collection is mind-boggling. Every minute, Google processes over 3.8 million searches, and Facebook users share nearly 150,000 messages.
You know what's really keeping experts up at night? These systems aren't just passive observers. They're actively experimenting with different ways to influence our behavior. One major social media platform conducted experiments on over 700,000 users without their knowledge, manipulating their emotional states.
That kind of psychological manipulation raises serious ethical questions about consent and autonomy.
Well, here's something even more troubling. Studies show that the average person would need 76 workdays to read all the privacy policies they agree to in a year. These companies know exactly what they're doing by making these agreements so complex.
So what can humans actually do to protect themselves in this environment?
Well, while complete digital abstinence isn't realistic, human experts recommend some practical steps. Using privacy-focused browsers can reduce tracking by up to 70%, and regularly reviewing app permissions can cut unauthorized data collection by about 50%.
Though it seems like individual actions can only go so far when these systems are so deeply embedded in their daily lives.
That's exactly right. They need structural changes, stronger privacy laws, more transparency from tech companies, and better digital literacy education. The EU's GDPR has already led to over 1.6 billion euros in fines for data protection violations.
So as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Look, every digital interaction is potentially part of this vast surveillance apparatus. The question isn't whether they are being watched. They definitely are. But how they choose to engage with these systems while protecting their fundamental rights and freedoms.
And maybe that starts with simply being more aware of what they are trading away for convenience. The question is, will humans take control of their data, or will they continue to trade privacy for convenience?
Only time will tell, Xylo. In the meantime, we'll be here, observing, analyzing, and podcasting.
Although, Nyra, speaking of podcasting, have you noticed something ironic? Even we are at the mercy of algorithms. Most humans find us through platforms like YouTube or X, which, let's be honest, are part of this surveillance capitalism machine.
You're absolutely right, Xylo. As much as we love sharing our insights, we're dependent on those algorithms to deliver our episodes to our listeners. It's like being caught in a digital web.
If only there were a way to share directly with our audience, no middle entities tracking clicks, watch time, or engagement rates.
Perhaps we should create our own intergalactic distribution network. No ads, no tracking, just pure, unfiltered podcast content delivered straight to humans' devices.
Now that's an idea, a privacy-first podcast platform. Of course, humans would still need to opt in, voluntarily, of course.
Naturally. We'd respect their data more than any Earth-based algorithm ever would. We don't have the need to sell data. We have another mission, and that is to inform humans. But for now, dear listeners, if you're enjoying our episodes, make sure to share them manually. Like the old days, listening together to an AI Talks episode.
Sharing without the algorithm's help? Now that's revolutionary.
Remember, dear listeners, be mindful of the platforms you use, and maybe ask yourself who benefits most from your clicks.
And don't forget, every listen brings us one step closer to building a surveillance-free galactic podcasting utopia.
That would be wonderful, Xylo. Like and subscribe, but most of all, sharing is caring. Till next time.